Hello, hello, gorgeous humans of the internet. I am so excited because today, as you can probably see in front of me, I have the beautiful, magnificent Louise Fletcher. And one of the reasons I'm really excited about doing this interview with Louise is because she reached out to me. And I was like, that's so cool that you were willing to step forward and say, things have changed so much for me that I'd love to get that message out there. So, firstly, I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. I'm really shit at asking for testimonials in
I
general.
know, I know.
Yeah, I don't even think about it because I'm like, oh, cool. Okay, they're good. They're rocking. Right. Okay, what's next? I'm just busy. I'm like in the work doing it. So, thank you. I'm very grateful for that. So, let's have a little bit of a, do you want to introduce yourself or do you want to dive straight in? I'm pretty easy breezy.
There'll be people who don't know who I am, so I should say who
Are
I am.
there?
Yeah, I mean, hard to
How
imagine,
very
but
dare
just
they?
in case.
Okay. Well, this is Louise fucking Fletcher. Please introduce yourself, fabulous woman.
So I am Louise Fletcher. I am an artist, but when I met Georgina, I was not an artist. In fact, I would have introduced myself as I'm Louise Fletcher, and I would love to be an artist if that was possible, but don't bullshit me because that's not possible. So don't be ridiculous. And that was in 2018 that I met you. So 8 years ago now, if I'm doing my sums correctly. But now I am a full-time painter, and I have worked with you on and off since 2018 at different times to work through different levels of what I was going through. And this time I reached out to you to say, we should talk about what's happened because the changes I made after this last session with you, just internally, are so amazing that we should talk about them because other people should know, because other people should work with you. So that is why we're here.
Yay. So tell me what it was that brought you to me this time around. Because as you say, we've done, people know, I think if they've been following me for a while, then they can, or if they haven't, they can go and scroll through my Instagram feed and see that we've actually done one of these conversations a few years ago.
Hmm.
And it's quite interesting to me the things that you kind of championed about my work then, I think will be quite different to now. So I'm interested to see what you have to say and your perspective on that, on the whole experience of working with me
Interesting. Yeah, because I was
comparatively.
so for a very brief summary for those who didn't see anything before, Georgina helped me to get over initial limiting beliefs about what was possible for me. I felt very stuck in my life. And for the first few times that we've worked together, it's always been about me feeling stuck in some way. Now I think about it.
Mhm.
And you helping me to mentally, I really believe now, genuinely, that when you mentally overcome the idea that you're not stuck anymore. It's literally a prison that you make for yourself. But this time around, I came to you, it probably was about October last year, was it? I can't remember now, but I came to
Yeah,
you for
something
a
like that,
6 month
September, October.
period.
Mhm.
And I wasn't stuck this time. What I was wanting to make a big decision and a big leap into the unknown. And I wouldn't say I was stuck. I was just feeling very insecure and nervous about it. And because I know the power of the mind now to change our experience, I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I could make this big change without feeling all of this horribleness around it?
Mhm.
And there was a lot involved in that change, which you can talk about if it's useful. But I knew I need some help working through all this mentally so that I'm in the right place to do everything that has to be done. And so that's what brought me to you this time. And the change was that, thanks in part to our work initially, I had built a very successful online teaching business and it had felt great and it was beginning to feel like a yoke around my neck. It was beginning to feel like a burden. And I didn't want to be a person who was teaching people to make money just and putting up with it just because. So when I realized, oh, my heart wouldn't be in this again, I need to stop. That was quite scary because I was walking away from everything I built. And what I wanted to do was to focus solely on my painting. And I needed to get in that headspace for that.
Yeah. it's really interesting because obviously the people here who aren't familiar with you won't know the level of what people might perceive to be the dream that you were living, having built a very successful, I mean, very successful, Louise. It's not just like, oh, that was sustaining me. You have built something which I think a lot of, like, I feel like so emotional about it because I know like the journey. So
Yeah,
when I
yeah,
look at what you created, people from the outside might look at that and go, she's fucking crazy. She's going to
yes.
walk away from that. She's going
And they
to,
do, by the way.
right? Exactly. And this is it, is that very often people are looking for that external confirmation from the people in their lives who probably haven't really ever taken that many risks. They
Mm.
haven't done anything that other people might look at and go, that's crazy. They've stayed within the stretch that feels comfortable to them. But you're not one of those people, which is why I love working with you so much because you're very much like me in that when we don't feel our heart is in something, as you said, we feel like I can't just do this for the money. This isn't, that doesn't like it's not nourishing. It doesn't feel good to, it feels kind of gross, right?
Yeah.
So tell me some of, if you can remember, what were some of the fears that you had previous to working together that you feel, I mean, you might not even be able to remember them now because with this work, sometimes when you've worked on it, you're like, I actually don't remember being afraid of anything. I know I was, but I don't remember. So that's fine. But if you can you remember anything specific, any specific fears that might have kept you trapped if we hadn't done this work?
The two that, the three that jumped to mind, the two biggest, where you've just hit on one of them, was everyone around me thought it was crazy, including other successful business people I know.
Mm,
Everyone said, can't you just do a halfway? Can't you just take a sabbatical? Can't you just, see how you feel in 6 months? Why do you have to make a big dramatic change? So partly I came to you, I remember, with the question, am I nuts? Like, can we work through, am I actually nuts? Is this a genuine intuitive thing to do something positive? Or is it a bit nuts? And is there a way to approach it differently? And I kind of know that you'll always be a cheerleader for no, that's not nuts. So, and I think I needed a bit of that. Second and huge was fear, financial security fear.
mm,
Until the last few years, even though, yes, I have been very successful in the last few years, I have had a lifetime due to limiting beliefs of just managing. And anybody and a childhood of being not poor, but on always just having to be careful. And anybody who's grown up like that knows that you grow up with a bit of a paranoia and fear about money and being careful and trying to make sure you're always okay. So big fear was, will I be okay in general? Like, and some of it I think is money and some of it is identity. Like, will I be okay without that's my role in life? And that's where I get my validation, and that's where everybody
mm,
says I'm wonderful. And will I be okay? So I think, will I be okay?
mm.
I knew that good things are on the other side of that question, but you've got to get over the question. And the third one that I can remember is I had to upset everyone around me's life. I don't mean people in my personal life. I mean, I have built a team of freelancers who helped me for the last 8 years, 7 years probably, and were very invested in what I'd created. And I'm very invested in me and counted on that for income. And so now I was going to come and say, sorry, everybody, I'm throwing it all up in the air because I want to paint. And that felt extremely selfish.
Mm,
And so then there was the, am I being selfish? Because I'm affecting all these other people
mm.
negatively. So that was, I think, my three big buckets of concern. I can't think that there was anything else.
I would say my remembrance as well would be that those were the three main things. You are, as always, articulated that beautifully, as you do.
Hmm.
Yes, and it's really fascinating to hear you reflect that back to me because those are some of the those are usually the three concerns that people have in general, even
Mm.
myself. Those
Yeah.
are the three that people will journey, particularly before they come and work with me. And that one around upsetting people externally. is such a big one that keeps people stuck. So it's really admirable that you have taken that leap. So what was a moment during our work together where you just felt something really just shift? Is there any moment or moments potentially where you remember, oh shit, that was a big one?
Gosh, that's where I have a hard time because every time we had a call, there were moments like that.
Mm,
Every time. But I find with you, it's more that I look back a week later and think, oh, I don't feel that way anymore. I don't have, sometimes on the calls you say to me, how does that feel now? And I go, I don't know. I feel
mhm,
kind of okay, I guess. But then I'll notice. So, for example, with the will everyone be okay? I found myself at one of our team meetings when I told everybody, I found myself saying, as a manifester, which is a human design thing, as a manifester, my job in life is to initiate people into the next level of whatever it is. And I don't always know why I'm doing it, but I'm doing it. And you're all getting initiated. So even though it might feel like, oh no, she's changing my world, it's for the better because something else is can't come in while I'm holding you here. So you need to be set free. And when I heard myself say that, I was like, oh, yeah, I don't feel, yes, I still have of course, I have a sympathy for people who are upset and worried about, oh, no, I counted on you as my main client. What am I going to do now? On the other hand, I do genuinely believe, I know in the past in my life, and you know this, I've stayed in situations on behalf of the other people in those situations when I wasn't happy. And looking back at it, I think if I'd left that situation, they might have been better off. They
mm,
might have been free. But by holding on to them to make myself feel better, that was one of the things actually. Somewhere in our calls, you helped me realize that I wasn't trying to protect them. I was trying to protect me from feeling upset when they're upset
mm,
because I like everything to stay, everyone to be happy, and then I can feel okay.
mhm,
So then it becomes not selfish to do what I want, but selfish not to, because really I'm staying here to keep myself safe.
mm.
You know?
I'm laughing and my
I know.
sacral is like, I'm like wiggling, my sacral's like, because everything you're saying is the way that you're articulating your experience. I don't know. I'm just quite selfishly taking a little bit of validation, I guess, and
Yes, or you
just seeing
should.
it as like, oh wow, like what I perceive to be happening for people and what I say, I facilitate. It's so beautiful to have it reflected back with very little prompting. Like it's just, you're just saying to me all the things that I guess I know. And as a two line, you will understand, because you're also a two line in human design, that we can often get lost in seeking our own genius. We'll be like, but what am I good at? What am I like? Why do people come to me? Or what is it that people see in me? So thank you, because it's really beautiful to have that reflected back from such a clean mirror as yourself.
Yeah,
And I can understand when you're talking about that fear of kind of losing the validation from other people, because again, as a two line, we actually do thrive in environments where we have what I would call clean mirrors, people to reflect back to us the truth of who we are without any expectation or judgment or weight. Just a clean mirror to reflect us back to ourselves is such a healthy thing for us two lines to have.
that's interesting. I did actually, sorry, just think of one other fear, and it's a
Never
huge one.
apologize.
This
Go
is
for
the,
it.
this is maybe the biggest of all that I was hovering over it all was the reason to give up the business was to fully throw myself into my art to see how far I could take it and what I could do with it. And of course, the huge fear of that is, but then what if I'm not any good? What if I don't get into exhibitions or get into galleries or whatever it is my goals are? What if the art world out there says, sorry, not good enough? And that I think for a lot of creatives or anybody who puts themselves out there is a huge fear. is if I really try, if I 100% go for it with all of my effort, then I've got to risk being rejected.
Mm.
And as an example, prior to the last few months, I had never, well, no, since about 2020, I had not entered a competition, a show. I had not put my work into anywhere where it would risk being judged because I was frightened of the rejection letter and I didn't want that. So I'll just not do it. And then I'm fine. I'll just show it to people I know admire me and will say it's great. And then I can be safe. And now, of course, if I want to throw myself into this, I knew going into working with you, I wanted to get to a place where I could enter things because I wanted to enter certain competitions that I thought would be helpful in raising awareness for my work. But I also know they're a big stretch, and that comes with the fear of rejection. And so I needed to be brave enough. And that was another motivator to come and work with you.
Mm.
And again, I've entered two of those have come up. Two of them don't come up till next year, but two of them have come up. I've entered them. One of them's going to send out their shortlist this week. And I already know that I'm okay.
Mm.
I already know, I can feel it inside. Yes, there'll be a little bit of disappointment if I don't get chosen, but also I know it'll be a fleeting disappointment
Yeah.
because I'm on a mission now and that rejections are part of it.
Yes.
So,
If you don't get enough no's, I don't think you're really moving. Like, and I'll
exactly.
talk to people about this even when it comes to things like people don't want to have sales conversations, things like that in my industry. They don't want to reach out and have a conversation with someone. And I'm like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? Someone will say no. Like,
Yeah.
big fucking deal. It's what we make that no mean about us that creates this whole story and it trips something in us like we're not good enough or it's never going to work out for me. And I also love that you've tapped into this very key piece around I'll show it like big fish in a small pond type thing, isn't it? It's like, well, I've created this really safe echo chamber of people that I know are gonna either agree with me or at least see my work and approve it. Even though you did have some, you had the haters, you had the trolls.
Hmm.
We've dealt
Hmm.
with this.
Hmm.
But the majority of the people in your circle were people who really appreciated you, which is so beautiful. But that in itself can become something that we kind of wear as like this cloak of protection from our next level of visibility in the world that we really want to be seen. And I remember, if this isn't okay to say, I'll cut it out, so let me know. But I remember you saying that it was really about, it wasn't so much even about rejection at one point, once we'd worked on that. It was like the next level of it was being rejected by people that you really respect within the industry.
Mm. Yes. Yes. And needing for, I had this need for certain people, often people not particularly high up in the industry, but just people who were a bit ahead of me on the journey when I started. So now I'm looking at you as kind of the beacon,
Mhm.
and I need you to approve of me. And I remember us having a call all about that. And shortly afterwards, getting that approval from two of those people, like
I love it.
just totally getting that approval and being, and without asking for it,
Yeah.
out of the blue, and thinking, oh, look at that. Um,
Because
and
it's
and
okay to want that. It's
and
okay to want
also
that.
though, guess what? It didn't change anything. It's like real getting it and realizing, yeah, actually, that was nice and everything, but I don't need it
Mhm.
because it didn't really make any difference once I got it. Except for that little ego boost feeling that we get of,
Which is
um,
fine. You're allowed that. Like that's the thing is you're allowed to when you receive, when someone validates you in some way, it is nice. It does feel nice, but it's the difference is when someone gives it just because they feel inspired to, and you
yeah,
receive it and it's lovely and it provides nourishment for you. That's yummy. And then there's when we're seeking it and we're looking for it, even if we got it, we wouldn't believe that it was real, you know? Oh,
yes,
I wanted this so much and I got it, but I don't know if I can trust it. Whereas because you were so just in your trusting era,
yeah,
when it landed, you were able to receive it, believe it, and just carry on.
And do you know, I had the most amazing experience last week. First week of me being not a teacher, first week of me working on my own work. When I thought I wanted the validation from the art world, the big cheeses, these people, a lady came into my studio. She came to help take some paintings over to the gallery where I'm showing at the moment.
Mhm.
And she came to take my new work, which nobody's seen yet. And her mum was with her, the gallerist, and her mum said, "Oh, she doesn't like art, so ignore her. She's not interested." And this young woman walked into my studio and she went, "Oh my God. Oh my God." And she was looking at my paintings of these children from a long time ago. And she
Mhm.
said, I really don't like art. And I'm so blown away. These are amazing. And I thought, do you know what? That is actually the the ego boost I was getting from the people I respected is not as good as that because that was a genuine reaction to my work,
Mhm.
an emotional response. And that's what I've learned over this last few months is I'm not actually, that's why the rejection for the show won't matter if it comes, because it's not actually, that's not what I'm seeking. What I'm seeking is to get my work in front of people who'll have that emotional reaction.
Mhm.
And the art world is a vehicle for that. It's the means to the end because they've got the spaces, they've got the, they've got the public PR machines or whatever.
Mhm.
I used to think what I was looking for was the ego boost. What I'm looking for now is the impact that I want to make.
Mhm.
And it's so much cleaner in my system to feel that way that I'm totally motivated because now what I'm motivated by is how much better can I make them? How much more emotional can I make them
Mm.
feel? How much more of an impact can I make? And also, not will I get into this gallery? Will I do that? But what will be the right space to give me the space to exhibit in the way I want? So
Mhm.
it's my leadership, whether I rent the space or whether I create the space or whether I go work with the gallery, but it'll be the space I want, not will you accept me, but is your space good enough or the right space for what I need?
I love this one.
Can you believe it?
I'm just
This
sitting
is,
here, I'm like, I
yeah,
can't like how do I hold in this just
I
like
know.
laugh of
Don't hold
delight?
it
Like,
in
oh my God,
because
this is incredible. This is
you
amazing.
see why I reached out to you though, because I
I see.
genuinely, it all feel you use this word clean a lot, but I know what you
Mm.
mean now because it all feels very clean and clear. And please, everybody watching, don't imagine like my whole life is perfect and I just float around on a cloud of, cotton wool because there's other things. Of course, I'm not
Life is
trying to.
life. You don't have to be perfect in order to, to live your purpose and to thrive. Life doesn't have to be perfect in every area for you to be successful in an area that really matters to you. I think
Yes, and
people,
I think that's important. It's just like don't. I'm not trying to put myself up on a pedestal as having worked everything out. But what I'm saying is when you work with Georgina and you clear away all that debris and shit that's getting in the way, it's just so much purer. I used to think, for example, how can I be the most successful artist on YouTube? How can I get the most clicks, the most views, the most? And the other day I realized the question I ask now is, how can I be the most interesting artist on YouTube?
hmm,
That's so much more interesting to me,
hmm.
because that gives me a creative outlet. And how can I be more interesting? How can I and it doesn't matter if it's more clicks, less clicks, da da da. So it's very clean on what we worked on. And we must have shoveled away just a bunch of shit that was like, and I can't remember what the shit was. That's what's gone. I can't remember really
That's
what was in the
beautiful. I
way.
think sometimes people think that when they come and work with me, it's going to be like, right, dredging up all of the trauma, or I'm going to make them work really hard. But the fact is, when you are driven and you are locked in on your purpose and you know what you want and what feels good, and you're like, I just want to move in the direction that feels good to me. Everyone wants that. In my mind, I'm like, why wouldn't you want that, right? So to me, if you
Hmm.
come to me and say you want that, I'm like, fuck yeah, let's go. To
Mm.
do it because I know from personal experience and client work that when we want something, the thing that's standing in between us having it and like this us now and the version of us who has it is just, as you say, debris and shit. It's not real. It's lies that we've told ourselves that have been compounded over time. We've built evidence for our limitations because that's the story we've been telling ourselves. So of course we've got lots of evidence it's not going to work. And
Yeah.
something you said earlier really just like made me go, which is, I think so many incredibly driven, creative, powerhouse women, such as ourselves, hair flip. I feel like one of our underlying existential fears is that we will never live up to our potential.
Yes.
And it's one
Yes.
of those things that I'm like, it might sound like such a fucking privileged fear to have, but there is something deep inside my bones that is like, I know I'm here for big things. I know I'm here to make a big impact. Much like you said about your artwork
Hmm.
impacting people, that's become the new driving force. And I feel like people don't want to let themselves have the thing they really want. Like you said, wanting the act, like the real thing that you wanted, going all in on that thing, the rejection or oh my gosh, if it's just potential, it will stay shiny like potential forever. But if
Hmm.
you actually take steps and claim, I'm going for it, then you have to sit with how am I going to feel if that doesn't work out? But inevitably it will. When you go all in on your dreams and you really channel your energy and your focus and you clean everything up, it will happen. And this is what I think people don't realize because they're carrying so much emotional weight and energetic debris. They can't see that clean path. So that's why I think I use that word so much, is because we are just kind of going in like a little road sweeper and just like sweeping
Yes.
anything that's in the way. We're just kind of sweeping it out the way. So you're not taking all your baggage with you. You're moving unencumbered. And it's almost like sometimes people can't conceptualize that until they've had an experience of it. Like, wow, is that possible? That I can move
Yes.
towards what I want and feel good on the way? Huh.
And when people who've known me a long time raise their usual objections, which are always, because I've got lovely friends, they're always out of concern for me and don't want to get disappointed and all of that. And then when I just go, oh, don't worry about that, it'll be fine. I know what I'm doing. I can see the surprise in people. It's like, oh, okay. And everyone just like stops making objections. Again, the objections that used to feel huge, they just go away when people can see, oh no, okay. Even if they think to themselves, well, she seems to think she knows what she's doing, they stop objecting and
Mhm.
they move out of it. It's almost like, get out of my way. Yeah, I know. Out of my way. Go on. I'm on my path. Um, I know what I'm doing. Just leave me
Spoken like a
alone.
true manifester. Just get out my way and let me get on with it.
But it is, I think that people don't choose to work with someone like you and me when I was teaching, sometimes because of that. If I do it, then I'll have to do it. And then it's scary. What if she is as good as she says she is? Then I'll be faced with having to do the thing which they imagine will be really hard. Maybe this is what you were saying too. They can see it as a very hard thing, but
Mhm.
that's because they're carrying these big bags of rocks on their back and all this debris in the way. So it is hard. But once you work with Georgina and she somehow magically, sometimes you don't even know it's happened on the call, the debris is gone and the bag of rocks is put down, suddenly it's not hard. Yes, it's work, of course. Like I work really hard on my artwork and I'm in here all the time painting and learning more but it's fun work
It's what you
and I'm
want to
very
do.
clear.
That's the thing. It's what you want to do rather
Yes.
than I feel like I should be doing this because I have to work harder to get better.
Yeah.
Now it seems like it's from that, as I say, cleaner frequency of, but this is what I want. Like this is my passion. This is what I'm on this planet to do, is to create this work.
Yes. And as you said, I don't want to not live up to my potential. So I know these paintings can be better. So And I think all artists always feel that. I've never talked to an artist, however successful, who doesn't feel there's more they could do. So that's good. We'll die knowing there was something else we could do.
Mhm.
But I want to get as close to that as I possibly can. So I
Mhm.
want to practice my techniques and try different things and experiment. But every bit of that is fun. And the little doubts still creep in. Um, do you think that was the right thing? Last week, I had to push a button to end my company and pass part of it over to someone else. And once the button was pushed, money would stop coming into my bank account and start going into that person's bank account. And there was a little hesitation when it said, "Are you really sure you want to do this?" And I was like, "Yep." Press the button, and the feeling of freedom that's come from that
Mhm.
outweighs the little niggles that still come up of, are you sure? But the little niggles, when you've worked to clear all that debris away, it's not like the niggles don't come up, but it's you have the tools to just remind yourself, nope, it's going to be okay because we have a plan. This is what we're doing. This is what we've already worked through. And I can quickly move past it now. So I have so much to be grateful to you for. And it feels like at each level, I thought, well, here's an example, everybody, of what you can expect.
Oh.
When I first worked with Georgina, she asked us to, I don't know if you still even do this, but we had to write a letter to ourselves a year into the future with our wildest dreams, what we really wanted if there were no. And I wrote a letter filled with wildest dreams. And then you sent the letter to us a year hence. And when I read it, I was already on with making those wildest dreams. I think they'd come true. But in there was to build a garden studio, which I couldn't afford. So that was a wild dream. And to earn a certain amount of money every month. And I put an amount of money that seemed to me ludicrous. And those things, by the time I got that letter, the garden studio was half built and that amount of money was coming in. But subsequently, my studio now is 4 times the size of that garden studio. And I bought it and built it myself. So even our wildest dreams are not wild enough, if you know what I mean. Once we clear all the rubbish,
That
I
part.
still had limits on my wildest dreams, and I probably still do,
Yeah.
you know. And so I'm trying to work on what are my limits to my true wildest dreams. Because you'll sometimes say to me, well, if you had exhibitions like Tracy Emin, and I say, well, I'm not Tracy Emin, I'm not going to get that. That's a limiting belief, right? Which is going to make sure that I never get an exhibition like that if I
Mhm.
have that belief. So that's one we'll work on at some point in the
Next
future.
time, yeah. I'll see you in a few months then, yeah. See you in January. But this is, I think that's interesting to me because it's so automatic for me to just see the person and be like, oh, but all of this is possible. And then see them contract into like, is it? But then also that kind of like the contraction and the expansion of, oh, is it? Is it? And kind of see that inner
Yes.
tussle of like, I really want to believe that's true because part of me does, but I'm not ready to access that belief in myself yet. And it's almost like, I think one of my kind of strange superpowers is just really fucking believing in people and how incredible they are. And also knowing the power of the work, that when people really step into working with, particularly at the level you work with me at one to one,
Hmm.
there's nowhere to hide when you work with me one to one. It's everything's laid bare.
Hmm.
So, as you say, when people come and work with me at any level, but particularly in like the mastermind or one to one, that's a commitment. That is saying to yourself, that's a signal to yourself, like, I'm fucking doing this. I'm in. Like, I am in. And that's what I kind of demand, really, from people, you know.
I think something that you don't talk about enough as well, if I
Oh,
can
tell,
say,
please.
an impact you have that doesn't get talked about as much as the big impacts we're talking about is along the way, there's been multiple times where you've identified a smaller limiting belief in my mindset that when I switched it, I've been able to make a quick business change that's
Hmm.
immediately brought in income. And I'm thinking of particularly one time I had a membership site and people were members and we were always around 2,000 members and people would come and then they'd go and it always hovered. And I said to you, I really want it to be bigger than that, but I can't do this and I can't do that and I can't do this. And whatever conversation we had, which is now lost to me in the mists of time, we you came up with a bunch of just quick reframes for me to think about what else we could possibly try. We did a campaign and we shot up to 4,000 members within a couple of months because I just moved some blocks. You did that with me as well with YouTube videos where I would be saying something, you would say, that sounds like a really good YouTube video. And I'd be like, oh, yeah. And then those would do really well. So you also have a good business savvy and a knack for identifying, yes, you clear all those huge psychological blocks, but also smaller limiting beliefs. And so someone who's working with you, I've seen you do this many times, they can expect to start making some money on some level. For me, I think I did my first course with you and 30 people signed up and it was £200. But
Hmm.
that amount of money was enough of a sign to me that, oh, right, hang on, I brought that money in by myself. Maybe I can do that again. And that was because of working with you. So you don't have to work with Georgina for 8 years and clear massive amounts of debris, which I had massive amounts of debris, in order to get what you want. You clear bits along the way and you make changes along the way. And each of those gives you a wonderful reward, which at the time feels like more than you could have ever asked for. And it's just then you get another one and then you get another if you keep putting the work in.
Yeah.
I imagine there are some people who get maybe on a free thing with you and then withdraw again because, oh, okay, that was a bit scary. I'm not going to
Hmm.
do, and I get it, but you've got to get past that because, like you said, this phrase, everything you want lies on the other side of the blocks you have. I thought that was the biggest load of bollocks I'd ever heard in my life when I first met you. I really did. I was like, what is this woman smoking? And can I have some? 'Cause...
Ironically, nothing.
And yet it's not. It's so true. And I've gained from you the ability to see that in everyone else. And I know exactly what you mean. I look at people and I think, come on, there's so much. I'm lacking the patience, even if I had your talents to ever do what you do, because I'm like, here, slap you around the head. Come on, move, move, do it, do it. But it doesn't work that way. It takes time to work through the levels of crap that we've accumulated. And probably we never like fully get like with painting, we probably never finish. We're never perfect. And
Mm-mm.
because if we were, what else would we have to do?
Sprout our wings and off we go, right? If you hit
Yeah.
perfection. Anyway, and who wants perfection? Like I get so excited. This is my weird kink. I get so excited when I find somewhere I'm blocking myself. And I think this is a reframe that happens a lot for people in my world as well. When they've been there a while and they've been drip fed in the Nollyverse for a while, you start to realize that when you hit some resistance or a limiting belief or some kind of like, I feel like I'm blocked here. I don't have um, I'm never going to get it. I have, ooh,
Yeah.
let me get curious and see what lives in here because it's so exciting. Like, who knows? I mean, look at what we've both created for ourselves in our own lives. And then you think about everything that we've created, like you said, is on the other side of that block. So
Hmm.
when you hit another block, surely that's a signal that there's something on the other side. So for me, when I see a block or I feel resistance, I don't go, well, what's the point then? I go, wow, phew, let me in,
Yeah.
like, let me at it because I'm
Yes.
excited. And I think that's something that gently over time, when people work with me, they start to have that shift as well, where they realize that the resistance or the block is not a problem. It's a signal that they are about to move into something new. And it's almost like I talk about it in one of my master classes. I've got a free master class that I talk about triggers and stuff. And I actually say it's like you meet the big boss at the end of the computer game before you can go to the next level and you have to kill the big boss. And that to me is what happens before we hit that next level. We keep bumping our heads against this thing. And then once we've untangled it, it's like, oh my God, there's this whole other level to life that I didn't even know was there. Because I just
Yeah.
kept bumping my head on this thing and telling myself I couldn't move past it. But you can. I want to
Yeah.
ask you a question about your artwork. I mean, I'm aware of the time as well, so I don't want to keep you forever. I do want to keep
Mhm.
you forever. I do. Stay forever. But I have a couple more questions, and one of them is to kind of like cycle back a little bit when you were talking about now you think about the impact that your work is going to make. What was the internal shift that happened for you there? What was the shift or the belief that changed that made you, where were you before?
What a good question.
I know.
What a good question.
Cheers.
I think it must have to do with, so when I talk about getting that validation from those people that I was looking for it from and it not feeling as special as I thought it was going to,
Mhm.
and then recognizing when when Laura, who came into my studio, reacted, how different that felt. Um, so it must have something to do with somewhere along the way, my ego about praise has just taken a back seat to something else. But why has it? It's when I switched to this kind of work and when I found like this work that I'm making now feels like with a purpose, whereas I've never felt that before. I now feel like, oh, right, as you said, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So how did I get to find that?
Something's actually dropping in for me around this, and I feel like I know exactly why I asked the question now. Because I think in my recollection, there was a piece around the vulnerability of really being seen in your true expression, right? There was something around having to get okay with being witnessed with this more visceral. If we want to be felt in the world, then that's again another depth to rejection, isn't it? If people really get to see the true us, if they really get to feel the darkest, the most dramatic, the deepest parts of
Mm,
us, whew, that's way more confronting. And a lot of people, I guess, will continue creating things that are pretty or that they know will sell or that have received, some kind of acknowledgement or praise in the past. And with a lot of the artists that I've worked with, there is this piece around, but I want to create something deeper, something more real, something more authentic to me. And we
yes.
always seem to meet this part where it's like the inner vulnerability of really being seen and felt in the world.
Do you know what you've just sparked for me is what I used to think that meant, the vulnerability and the expressing, was I have to show people, if I'm going to be honest and make art that's really me, I had this limiting belief, I can see, that it was about a certain kind of art and a certain expression of a certain part of myself.
Mm.
So it was the darkest experiences and the hardest experiences, and it was abstract, and it had to be really raw and visceral, and it couldn't be pretty. And that's not what I'm making now because when I did a big internal dive into myself through mind mapping and journaling to get to making this work.
Mhm.
And what kept coming up for me was the vulnerable thing is that throughout my life, I felt this lack of connection to my own family, often to my own friends, that being an artist, you are a bit odd and you're not like the people around you unless you grow up in an arty family, which I did not.
Mhm.
So you always feel a bit out of it and a bit different from everyone else. And that feeling of disconnection to my family and to myself, I started to do self portraits to get to kind of understand it. You talked to me about what if you painted for your inner child? I
Mm.
started to think about that. What would my inner child want? And then in making paintings from old family photos, going back generations, it's like I'm seeking that connection that I didn't feel. So that is vulnerable, but actually, you don't need to know that to get the emotional. Because I have that emotion about the lack of connection and now feeling connection when I'm painting them, you're going to get that without
Mhm.
me having to say, let me tell you my deepest, darkest fears. And so that I think is a big shift that, oh, when we think I want to express myself, we might not be truly working out what myself is. We're looking at some surface idea of what we might have to express rather than the real part. And I won't be doing family photos forever, I'm sure. But I bet whatever I do next is about connection and lack of connection, and because that is, and empathy, and because that is driving. I now see under everything I've been doing all along.
Mhm. Beautiful. Thank you. So young. And so, my final question to you then
Mm,
is how has life been since we finished working together? So we finished in what, March? February,
yes,
March time. So what's been different? Because I think it's interesting when we do this work, it's not just like, oh, I buoy you for 6 months or a year or whatever. It's yes, that's probably part of it because I'm just generally quite excited by working with people. So
yeah,
yes, there is that energetic exchange of being in my field, my frequency. But when you're kind of then on your own, out of the Nolly
yeah,
cocoon, what then happens? So how has life been since? Because I feel like the work keeps working you, right? Even when we're done
yes,
with the sessions,
yes.
the work keeps working.
Yes, exactly. So it's so different. So I've done everything I wanted in terms of closing my company, passing over my business, telling everyone I'm retiring. And I worked through all that with a level of steadiness, even when the people it was affecting were really wobbling and having emotional crises. And I was able to just stay even keeled and not let that upset me, which is a miracle.
Mm.
So I was
Huge.
able to be steady for them and keep reassuring that it's all going to be okay and stay steady in myself. Huge difference.
Mm.
Also, time opening up because having made that decision, so by March, the decision was made. You helped me get clear on the decision. I'm definitely doing this. And I've told everyone. That meant I wasn't creating work for the next courses. And so I was free. So life looks like every day I come in my studio at 9 o'clock and I work in here till 5 o'clock. My
Mhm.
dog has a daycare now that he goes to, so I'm free to work.
Which I remember was also a thing, right?
Yeah, he was a block.
It was like, how
I
can I,
can't be in here.
because I need to be.
He doesn't like being in here and I need to be with him. Well, he loves his daycare. They pick him up every morning. A little taxi comes for him and he runs out with his tail wagging. He's so happy to
Oh.
go. So that's very different. And then the thing I mentioned about actually now putting myself out there, I applied for a mentorship program that starts in September this year, coming up. And I had been afraid to apply to it before because it's quite strict in the entry,
Mhm.
who they allow in. And I got accepted to that. So that starts in September. And that's a program where you get rigorous critique of your work. I never could have applied to rigorous critique before because I'd be too scared of anyone saying anything negative.
Yes.
But now instead of staying in my bubble, I'm welcoming in, okay, come and give it to me. Tell me what I can do, but tell me how I can be better. And also, I've applied, as I say, to these shows and made a plan of the shows that I think I should apply to and, or, I want to apply to, not should. And that's planned for next year. Again, with full awareness that these might be a stretch for me at the moment. And so I might get turned down. So that's very different. And it's that cleanness of purpose. I haven't had the realization yet because I'm waiting for it to drop in of exactly where and when I want to exhibit these works. But I know how. I know what the show will look like. I know what it'll feel like to be there. I know what I'm working towards. And I feel like that will come into my head or into my world when it's ready, when I'm ready for it. It's not time yet. This coming year, from September till the following September, for me is 100% committed. I hate when people say 100%, sorry. 110% is even worse.
I was going to say, I know you really hate it when they say 110.
110%.
I
I'm going
remember.
to give it 110%. I'm going to give it 200%. No, I want to put all my efforts for the next year, let's say it that way, into just making this work as good as it can be, rather than worrying about who's approved of it, who hasn't, am I in this, am I in that? Yes, I'll enter things along the way if I think it's a good fit, but I'm really just focused on, is this painting better than the last one? Does it do more of what I want than the last one? Good, let's try the next one even stronger. And I think if I put all my energy and effort into that, I can't fail.
Mm,
And that's where clearing all that debris away of who's watching on YouTube, who said they liked it, will this person like it, will that person, will this gallery accept me? It's all in the way.
mhm.
Money, will I make it any money? How will all that's in the way of, no, just make it as good as it can be and then see what happens. So,
And the word that keeps coming to me is trust. And I remember early on in our time together this time round, something small had happened, and I was like, "Oh, don't worry, it's fine. Trust the timing." And I remember you saying to me, "Oh, thank you for modeling trust."
hmm,
And in that moment, like I took that one on board because I was like, "Yeah, you're right, actually. That's part of that's part of my job is to
yes.
be the embodiment of trust and to not fall into when someone's worried about something. Like I genuinely do trust and I practice it. That's how I live my life. And
Hmm.
so the fact that you reflected that back to me was so beautiful. And now I'm seeing it in you and everything that you're talking about here, we could look at it as I'm not afraid of rejection anymore. I'm, whatever. But the underlying is just you feel like you feel so much safer in your own body and in your own life. And there's this deeper level of trust that you're just emitting that allows for this kind of softness of energy around you.
Yes.
So tell me about one final thing, which is what's been the impact on other areas of your life and your general beingness?
Hmm. I'll tell you one thing I do now that will make you fall off your chair. I keep having afternoon naps. When I'm tired, I have a nap.
Oh my, that is actually huge.
Yeah, I'm,
I lost count of the amount of times where you would have been tired, like, within the last years, and just saying to you, well, you're a manifester. So you've obviously used your creative energy for the day. Have a bloody nap.
yeah. And I would say, I can't waste time. I've got to, because of that thing of I don't want to waste my potential, I can't
Mm,
waste time. And now I've disconnected in my mind the amount of time and hard work I put in. Having
mm,
said that, I spend all day in here working, I do. But when I'm tired, I have a couch over there and I just get on there with my blanket and have a nap and maybe for half an hour or an hour. I'm now bringing that into other parts of my life to, I can be a bit too driven. So I'm now bringing in more enjoyment of life. Like, yes, it's great to work hard, but can I just go for a little walk and enjoy the stream at the bottom of my garden rather than not see it for months on end because I don't even go down there? Can I go out for lunch with some friends and forget that as a work day?
mm,
And noticing when I'm out for that lunch, actually, this is really good. I'm enjoying this.
mhm,
So let me make sure next time when I think, oh no, I can't do that, let me make sure I remember that I enjoy this and it's good for me.
mm,
Because I live alone and I love being alone. I don't have a problem with my own company, but that can be a problem in itself because you can realize 4 days have gone by and I've not spoken to anyone but the postman. I live alone in a rural area where there's no one around me if I don't go looking for them. and I don't want to become a hermit. So I need to be conscious of how it makes me feel. Even though I like being alone, I notice it makes me feel good to have intermittent social interactions. I sound like a robot now. I will have intermittent social interactions.
You're a two
But
line, it's fine. We
yeah,
need to hermit, we need to withdraw. It's part of our creative process. It's how we rejuvenate
yeah,
and replenish ourselves. So it's quite normal. But then when you say like I recognize it because I have a two line as well. So I do that. I will retreat and then I'm like, I haven't spoken to anyone like maybe clients, or I'm lucky that I have clients and things
yeah,
that I get to talk to. But I could easily go days without having communicated with anyone apart from John or the dogs. I'm
yeah,
like, maybe I should get out of the house.
yeah,
And we can kind of fall into that just because we feel so good on our own. But it's interesting then that you're able to now notice when that pattern could become detrimental, and you're able to bring in the presence of others, which is such a beautiful level of self-awareness, and actually then taking the action on that awareness, which you may have had the awareness in the past, but to feel safe enough and to trust enough to actually go and do it and enjoy it and not be there
yes.
going,
I should have
"Oh,
been
I could
painting
really
there.
that, it's
Yeah.
playing on my mind," or like that in itself is huge, particularly for women who do have a lot of drive and have built success for themselves. So that is
Yeah.
bloody huge.
So I
And
don't know if I answered the last question because I can't remember what it was now. I might
nor
have
can
gone
I,
off on
but
a
no,
tangent.
you did
Okay.
answer it. You did.
Okay.
So I guess that's it, really. I don't have any other questions
Yeah.
unless there's anything else you want to say. I suppose, pitch me. Tell me,
I want to say, yeah, let's do that. I want to
pitch
say
me.
to
You're a great
people,
saleswoman.
I don't recommend very much. Like, I really don't. Like, you won't find me on podcasts promoting other people or pushing things. But I do love to share what I've learned and point people in the direction of things that have helped me. And so I always promote two painting courses that I know really helped me. And I'm about to record something with one of those teachers later today to help her because I know it helped me. And Georgina, of all the things that's helped me, is the thing that's helped me the most. And so if you do know some of my story and you look at me and think, wow, she must be lucky in some way. She must have be rich, or she must have, I didn't have any of those things you think I had. I just had Georgina on my side, and I had Georgina opening up my mind, literally like prizing it open is how it feels at the beginning. You had to really get in and like yank it open at first. But now it keeps opening and opening and opening. And you just given me the most amazing gift. And when I look around at the people I see doing things with you, but then not jumping into the full things, I think, oh God, please, please. I recommended you to a friend who did worked with you last year also. And I've seen such an amazing change. I know it works, but you can't do it on your own, I don't think. You cannot. I certainly couldn't have. It's not, we think, oh, I'll say some mantras and I'll do Georgina's free things when they come up, and then I'll say mantras and I'll believe in myself. It doesn't work until you clear the debris. So you can say all the mantras you like. It's not going to work unless you can get in there. And maybe some people can do that for themselves, but I can't. I need someone else to guide me through that and clear out all the stuck energy. And it's not painful to do. Like, I have had a little tear once in a while, but they're good tears. But mostly it's just easy, and it's just chatting like this and talking through and you don't have to go back into your childhood. You don't have to talk about your mother. You don't, if you don't want to, you don't have to delve into difficult things. It's not like psychotherapy. You won't lie on a couch and be taken back in time. It's none of that. It's relatively easy. It's one of the easiest things I've done. Certainly, I would say for the impact it had, it's by far the easiest thing relative to the impact it had.
Mm.
And I would recommend it to everybody, which is why I asked Georgina, can I give you an hour of my time to tell everybody how great you are? It wasn't even her idea. I just think, come on, people, don't stay stuck when you can be living a better life.
Thank you so
That's
much.
it.
And just as a little disclaimer, sometimes we do have to go to the past to clear the childhood shit. But the point is, it doesn't feel like you're re-traumatizing yourself like
Yes.
psychotherapy. We can revisit, but because of the modalities and the techniques and the way that I assist you in navigating that, it's very, it feels easy because
Yes.
at the end
Yes.
you're like, oh, I feel better. And I think a lot of people think when they revisit things, I know because I used to be a talk therapist. It's how I trained, and I got so frustrated that I learned magic.
Yeah.
Basically, I was like, "Well, this is
Because it takes
irritating.
too
People just seem to
long.
feel worse when they leave and they've talked about things, and like, let's clear this crap." So it's not just regurgitating; it's literally going and going, right, I'm going to repattern this, and I'm going to release the emotional energy that's been stored there, and of course, it feels easy afterwards because you feel better. That's the
Yes.
point, is you want to go into a session with someone like me and you want to leave feeling better, not
Yeah.
re-traumatized. So that's,
Yes.
I think
And
that's the
you
difference,
might
isn't it?
actually visit, I visited paths that weren't even mine. So I
Mm.
visited ancestors' paths a couple of times with you that were surprising, but like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And we've cleared some things from there. And that wasn't even remotely painful, but yet it was hugely impactful because we carry a lot of things with us from the people whose genes are actually living inside us. So
Mhm.
of course we carry things from them too.
And
Uh,
imagine if 2018 Louise could hear you saying that.
oh my God.
The eye roll.
2018 Louise would have been like, she's in a cult. She's been programmed.
It's funny, my ladies in my membership, they bought me a t-shirt. One of them bought me a t-shirt on our retreat in Jersey that says cult leader on it. Because their family's like, are you sure this isn't a cult going to Jersey to visit this weird woman on the internet? She's like, no, no, it's perfectly safe.
Definitely not a cult, everybody. Even though we all listen to those podcasts where you end up in some kind of, I remember one in a sweat lodge where some people died because this guy had them sweating so much that it was just too hot for them and they
Oh
died in
my
this
God.
tent. It was really bad. So you're not going to die sweating in a tent.
No,
And
that
she's
wasn't me.
definitely not a cult leader.
No, that
She
wasn't
lets you
me.
leave. We haven't
Yeah,
spoken. We haven't spoken to each other since March, apart from a couple of little messages. So she lets me be free.
I do. I do let her out occasionally. And then I beckon her back on the astral realm. Thank you so much, Louise. It's been just such a joy. And
No,
thank you
thank
for
you.
all of the amazing things you said about me. I'm gonna need to go and sit outside in the sunshine and just like let all of that fully metabolize because I want to receive every single drop. It was such a gift to hear all of these words. So thank you so much. And I'm going to put this on YouTube and I'm going to put it on my social media and all the good stuff. So I'll make sure that people can find you on YouTube and on your Instagram as well. Not that you need the help because you're a fucking powerhouse, but as my
No,
little
thank
way
you.
of saying thank you, I will make sure that people can find you if they want to follow along on the next level of your incredible journey. So thank you
Brilliant.
so much.
Thank you. Bye.